Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
And welcome back to Realistic Sustainability. I'm Mike, and boy, do I have a treat for you. Guess who's with me? It's Nick Naz.
Hey, everybody.
This is where we should put in the applause, where to show the excitement of everybody knowing that you're back today.
I don't think anyone's going to be excited, but I do appreciate the gesture. It is good to be back.
I'm trying my darndest to be energetic. Nick and I just got done with yoga. How did you enjoy yoga at Dabble?
I do believe what I said was post-traumatic yoga disorder. I am scarred for life again. No, it was fine. I had a good time.
Actually, I think in many of those poses, you were doing far better than I. I'm one of those guys who will stop and reset. Oh, that's starting to get fatigued, or I'll get a cramp and I'll stop and reset. I do it all the time.
So, in all fairness, even though I put on as much weight as I have, which is a considerably large amount, a lot of the poses, like the stretches, that involve kind of like bending over and then reaching your arm up over your head. So I do that every day just to be able to function. Like I get on the bed and I literally do it the first thing in the morning. I've done it ever since we used to do yoga back in 2010 or 11. And so for me, that part was riding a bike. The part that I struggled with was I'm very insecure about my size. My shirt kept coming up, so my stomach was visible. And my midsection is so large that I couldn't do any of the bend over ones, like when you're on the ground, you're trying to fold. It wasn't working very well for me.
Well, and that's not just a you thing. I also quite often purposely wear the longest shirt I can find on yoga day. And my hips, or where my spine connects to my hips, it doesn't hinge. I'm assuming it's from years of like sitting or just being a big guy and letting everything compress in a sense, but I do not have a hinge there. So I just sit there, grab my legs and pull as hard as I can in the hopes that someday I'll hear a pop and I'll be able to like bend over and hinge my body.
Well, I mean, if you do hear a pop, I just hope that it's you bending and not you pooping, because I almost farted several times.
Oh, just so you know, that's common. Last time I was in there, it was bad. It was definitely bad. But when you're moving around and things are, air is shifting in your body, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'll be honest. The biggest thing I can take from it is that I came because I need to do something. I'm on Ozempic. I'm trying to lose some weight. I'm eating considerably less throughout the day, which is good, but I need to do something physical to help my body get in better shape. I need to feel better. I've had a lot of struggles, and I'm glad that I came. But from the moment I got on the mat, I was counting down the seconds until she said we were done, because I realized the reason I don't like yoga has nothing to do with the exercise. It has everything to do with the fact that it's so quiet and I'm stuck inside my own head. And all I have to do is contend with myself. And that for me lately has been a big issue. So it's going to be a mental exercise more than a physical one for me, but I'm excited to keep going because I do need to do something.
And like I said, if you do come on Wednesdays, we can do our recording. And when we don't need a recording, we'll just do an hour walk.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Because I need to also. I mean, Jamie and I redid a freaking house and I didn't lose weight. So it's obvious that I have to make some changes also. So walk isn't going to kill me. And I think it'd be good for both of us.
Yeah, I would agree, especially since it's getting warmer out.
Yeah. Well, and I've been really cranky because I just looked at my phone and it says wintry mix could be happening here shortly. And I'm tired of wintry mixes. I'll tell you that right now. A couple of days ago, coming home from Auburn Hills, it was like fist-sized snowflakes. And I'm like, now I'm just angry. We are in April. It's time for spring.
I agree with you, but I will say that the weather changes the weather. I guess you'd call it a wintry mix. Honestly, has me feeling like Forrest Gump in Vietnam, except for instead of rain, it goes from rain, then it's snow, then it's rain that comes in from the side, snow that comes straight up, It just was back and forth. I literally watched, and I'm not exaggerating, yesterday at work. I watched it go from being pouring rain to golf ball sized snowflakes that would hit the ground and disappear. Like they just be gone. They were it was not even remotely cold enough to keep them. Nothing was frozen, but they were coming down and they wanted you to know it. And it had lasted for maybe an hour and a half, and then it was gone.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when it's time, and if I have the ability to move to Hawaii, this will be the reason. I'm done with cold. I get it now. I used to pick on old people who were like, "Oh, I got to run away from the cold," as I'm running around in my shorts and t-shirt in the winter. I get it now. I'm done. It's driving me bonk. Well, I let you pick our show today, and you went straight to food stuff.
Yeah, of course I did. If I'm going to pick, I want to do something I'm fairly knowledgeable on.
Well, and I don't know if you looked at it very closely because the high cost of meat has some other pieces to it. Like not long ago, prices for beef started to go up. So, like, I jumped into AI. This is not necessarily right for local. Actually, you'll give me a better idea of today's ground beef prices. But the average ground beef price in 2010 was 318 a pound, and 2015 was 463 a pound nationally. And in 2025, they're saying 582, but I feel like that's low.
You're not going to like my answer on this.
What's that?
I pay 324
Well,
for
you're a
80.
caterer.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. This is part of the reason I picked this. I picked this topic. There's a lot of gray area in this conversation, and I have a lot of issues with the we'll call it the food service industry in this regard because I go to Gordon's. I mean I don't shop there often, but we're talking that's where I pay that price for ground beef. So for ground
Mhm.
chuck for 80/20 grind, which means for those that don't understand, it's 80% of it it's meat and then 20% is fat that they add into it. So it holds together as a patty. You know, it's not if it's just straight meat, it's just going to fall apart when you cook it. For 80/20, which is pretty standard, very few people even want to eat a burger made with 95/5 or 90/10. I pay 320 at the high end, 350. Now, do they have more expensive types of ground beef here? Of course they do. This is buying 10 pounds at a time. Does the average family need 10 pounds of beef at a time? Well, no, you're not going to eat that much. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to meal prep and plan, you buy one 10-pound tube instead of five 2-pound tubes. You just package it and freeze it. I'm a big advocate of that. You know, I just put a little series of videos up on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook about processing down a beef tenderloin that I had because it was 6 pounds or five, and it was just under 6 pounds, like 5.8 pounds, and I paid $9.99 a pound for it, which I'm going to get into later as well. I want to talk about that as well. But there's one of the reason I'm talking about this about the meal prep is that people don't realize that like everyone gets into their own little groove, right? They like their grocery store. Maybe they have a grocery store for meat and they have a grocery store for vegetables, but they get in their own little groove and they don't really walk outside of their own box. But what they don't realize is that middleman that they love so much is gouging them so terribly. On top of everything else going on in the world, like right now, our egg prices are through the roof because of the bird flu and the change of law in Michigan about cage-free eggs. Like egg prices are nuts. Chicken prices are going up. I'm paying more right now a pound for boneless chicken thighs than I am breasts, which is ridiculous. There's lots of reasons they're going to charge us a lot for meat. We just have to shop smarter.
So what I'm looking at here is how the average price of beef has jumped over this period of time. Over 15 years, the
Hmm.
cost of beef has continuously gone up. The first jump there was about 45%. The second one there is about 25%, where it's significantly moving up. Beef faster than chicken or pork and their
Yeah.
price jumps, right? And so what I was looking at is because of that cost of beef, what have people done? Because you and I have done some shows years ago talking about curbing consumption of meat. So what we're looking at is has it changed people's habits? Because when you're looking at global emissions, the beef industry is a kind of a serious chunk of it globally, right? I think it's like 6% of all emissions from humans come from just that portion of the ag industry. So some of the reason why those prices are going up is for that because of that. They're trying to change what people choose through financial carrot or stick, right? And what I'm looking at is, have they? Have people really shifted in some manner? And I did get some data and some information to see if any of the habits have changed. But I think our habits in my household have changed more dramatically than the general habits of Americans. And again, I want to specify all the data that I have here is for the United States, not, there is some comparisons to global, but primarily everything I have is United States driven.
Well, and to be honest, though, as far as this particular topic goes, we are a meat and potato eating country. We eat more meat than most countries, even countries that are 3 to 4 times the size of the U.S. We're going to outpace them in our consumption of meat, even if it's not our consumption, if it's our overall production and then sales and then food waste, we're going to go through more beef than they are, especially beef.
Well, it says, and I was looking at, it was at Wall Street Journal in 2024. We have seen a shift to more affordable proteins, where families are buying a little bit less beef, but then shifting it over to chicken. They're not buying less meat in general. They're just shifting what they're buying. I've also seen where you're seeing where people buy a different cut of something.
Yes,
So,
that, that's what clicked in my head earlier when you said you see me look at you. That's actually what I was going to talk about.
and I know I have in the past, you'd get a porterhouse or you'd get, and I'm thinking back to long ago when I was still in my little apartment and I was scrounging for everything. I couldn't go get a New York strip, but I could get a chuck eye, cut that up for me and all the kids to share one of those. And it was good enough for all of us, where
Yeah.
today that is quite costly and you got to get closer to round if you want beef at that same price point.
So there's actually two topics you're touching on that I'm not sure if you know yet. The first thing is I'm going to say that when it comes to beef shifting, there has been a huge focus on both sides of this, the home side and the commercial side, to focusing on cheaper cuts and making them delicious. So things like briskets, tri-tips, flank steak. There's 6 or 7 cuts that are very, very tough and have to be prepared a certain way to make sure they get very tender. But they've exploded in popularity. Where they used to be, pennies a pound, you're now paying, like, I'm paying $5, $6 a pound for brisket. And it won't even be a good brisket. It's just brisket. And that may sound cheap to someone else, but for me, I pay $9.99 a pound for a beef tenderloin, or $10.99 or $11.99, which is the most tender cut of beef. The fact that I pay half of that for the like the leather, the hardest, most impossible to eat cut of beef, it's kind of insulting. That thing should be like $1 a pound. Like, it's practically garbage that we're turning into something delicious. And so there has been a huge shift to different styles of cooking and cheaper cuts. And then there's been a lot of shifts, you're right, to chicken and pork. And I am going to say this. The one thing that separates beef from chicken and pork is that chicken and pork are not rated.
It either shifts the consumer purchasing to, like I said, something like pork or chicken. There is a segment of individuals who have moved beyond meat. I've tried to reduce, unless I'm eating something very specific. When we cook significantly less meat with our meals. We cook a lot more starches and a lot more vegetables. The kids go on strike for a while here and there, but they usually do okay. And we use a lot less. And we've been using it in our meals less and less each year. When it came to beef, all of last year, I told you we ended up with a quarter cow, and that carried us almost through. Well, it carried us all the way through, other than some minor supplements. When you look at surveys and you're talking about these cheaper cuts, about 37% move to a different cut. 43% talk about just simply using less. So I would probably fit within there. And then you also have the individuals who bought the same amount they always bought. They just waited for sales. Because here's the deal, most of us don't know all the places that you're going to go and be able to buy things cheaper. We go to the local supermarket, and what they have, they have. And
You
if I
go to where
go
you're
to a local farm and it's already pre-cut, it's just more. So the cost that we generally see is quite high, and there has been a shift on how we deal with our meats.
I fall into your third category. I am the person that just buys it on sale, so I get what I want because I like meat. I'm not saying I eat all meat, but like some dishes, like beef tips and noodles, there's two components to that dish. You have beef and you have noodles. Whether you change from beef to chicken is fine. It's still just meat and noodles.
Right, right.
And and so it's when I want it. So if I see it on sale, I pick it up.
Well, I haven't figured out how the cost is changing per se, because I know globally it's better for us as individuals and it's better for the environment if we've all reduced or even avoided red meat. Because emissions wise, I know everybody likes to call it cow farts. It's not, it's burps. There are multiple stomachs. Usually the gas is on the front side, so you get burps of methane from from the plants and the oats and the things that they've been eating. But and methane is by
So
far worse than CO2. The concept is that that methane is 25 to 80% or 80 times more potent than CO2. So the larger that we have of a market for beef, the more CO or the more methane is produced that can go into the atmosphere. So I know reducing matters when it comes especially to beef because
but
their emissions are much higher than other markets.
but instead of trying to influence the culture to teach people to eat less, wouldn't it just make more sense to change the way the market is done and have it not be such an oversupply for such a small demand?
Well, and I'm
I
not
mean, we
sure what's changing. I don't know if the beef industry is producing less and charging more, or if there's some kind of backside tax to it that is causing the price to come up to change the consumer habit. I really don't know that answer.
Well, I'm telling you this, that it used to be, we're talking a long time ago, where you had very few middlemen in between your food and your plate. And now it's all over the place. That cow you buy from the local grocery store, if it was a side of beef that was sent truck from Chicago, where do they go to get to Chicago? How much embodied energy is in your steak, Michael? Think
A
about that.
lot.
I'm not
Oh, well,
I'm not even I'm not even talking about plastic or foam or packaging. I just mean from the time it came off a field to the time it was electrocuted to the time it was butchered to the time it was aged and then you got it. Like it probably came halfway across the country or came from a different country. Maybe it came from Brazil or Venezuela. Like we don't know, but my point is that all racks up the price.
well, and when you talked about the embodied energy, you're talking about just moving it from one spot to the other, but growing the cow. It takes 1,800 gallons of water to grow 1 pound of a cow.
Yeah.
You have land uses, deforestation. When you said Brazil, one of the biggest problems of Brazil is eliminating the Amazon so they can grow more cows. So there's problem after problem after problem. So when I look at this, I see that, I mean, there's a high cost to beef other than currency all the way across the board.
But it is, but it's overcomplicated. Like today's world, everything is organic this and organic that and natural this. Like, just don't eat the filler. It's not rocket science. I hate to say it for people, and I'm not trying to be rude, but when it comes to food, and yes, this is the fat guy giving you guys diet advice all day long. When it comes to food, just eat. Just eat. If it's green, eat it. Like vegetables are good for you. Meat is good for you in the adequate portions that you need. And I know it might cost a little bit more a pound, but if you do have a local farmer, like if you do have MJ, you still have Duran meat processing out here?
Hmm.
Oh my
Yep.
God, they're fantastic. They're
Yep.
great. Have you ever been in their storefront?
Yep.
I used to buy ground beef from there all the time. It's a little more expensive, but it's a clean, delicious flavor, and you just feel good.
There's another thing that I start my day off that's green. Do you know what that is?
This is gonna be Magic Mind. I bet you it's Magic Mind.
Every morning. It makes it so vitamins wise, I get what I get for the day when I find what I'm going to eat. I don't always plan it well. I don't do a very good job staging my breakfast. I've actually got to a point now where a cup of coffee and a Magic Mind is my breakfast. It's just part of my routine. That helps me with some of the vitamins and the natural stuff that I should be getting from sitting down in the morning and cooking an egg and just kind of slowing down my morning. But I'll tell you, it has a lot of the natural things that I just won't get in general from food. And at
Oh
least for
yeah.
me, it's been for my mental state. I don't get the energy burst. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not a person that takes that and I'm like, yeah, I have tons of energy. But what I do get is mental clarity and I get that reduced stress level.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if I drink the mental performance drink or if I take the gummies because I ran out of the house and forgot. at least I get that good start. Now I got to figure out how to make sure lunch is good and dinner is good too.
So
Uh,
I will say that Magic Mind, when I was taking it, I was so impressed by the way it made me feel. Because I drink coffee every morning, or at least I try to. It's very rare that I don't have it. It's very rare that I don't drink it throughout the day. I love it, but it helped. It gave me a mental clarity and a levity to my feet, like my me throughout the day. The coffee just doesn't give me because I would drink the little bottle. I would fill it with water and then chase it, so I got all of the goodness out of there. And then I would have my cup of coffee, and within half an hour, I was buzzing. Not that I was super hyper, but I was my brain was just it was firing, Michael. Like it was clear and concise, and I didn't have to struggle to put words together. I stuttered less. Everything seemed just to flow better.
yeah, it's my job is hard, and I unfortunately have given myself dozens of jobs, and being able to remember each thing from each different responsibility was becoming very taxing. I was actually starting to doubt myself and get down about how my memory was functioning. Since we've been doing this and I've been taking Magic Mind, I don't have that worry. I don't have that problem anymore. Matter of fact, I just got a box. It was Mike's birthday. He got a box of them. I can't wait to find out if he's been drinking them and if he likes them. But anyways, I guess this is the point in which I'd say if you want to support your mental health, your mood, and also support realistic sustainability, click on the link in the description and use the coupon code sustainability for 20% off. There's a lot of different things. There's a sleep aid now. I have some at the house if you need to try them, but so you have the mental performance drink in the morning, the sleep aid at night. It's just basically a calming mechanism so you can go to sleep so your brain isn't going, hey, let's discuss everything we haven't thought of in the last 6 weeks.
So I would say that that's one thing I miss about it. I need more of it just for that because my
Yeah.
brain goes crazy at night.
Oh, there's a whole nother drink. There's literally a sleep aid now.
I missed you. I missed you saying that. Okay.
Yeah. So if you need some on the way home, we can grab some for you. I have some at the house. Mental performance drink in the morning, sleep aid at night. You're getting the vitamins. It's helping support your mental state. So again, if you want the coupon code, just click the link, go to Magic Mind, get 20% off your order. And they even have split packs now. So that's kind of cool. So you get half of the mental performance and half of the sleep aid. Anyway, so as we were talking about kind of the consumer shift, what's crazy is when you look at the whole picture of how consumers are adjusting to the higher prices, the lesser qualities, or even you were saying that there's a higher quality with an extra higher price. When we look at all of the United States, in a 2023 report, which I think is a reasonable amount of time from when it started to rise, there's only in volume a 2.5% decrease in the United States of total volume in all meats.
Say
That's
that
not even
again. So
just
I
beef.
say
Two
that
point
again.
in all of the United States
Okay.
since 2010 to 2023, the United States has only dropped its consumption by 2.5%. Now it has stopped the climb because every year it seems to climb a little more and it has decreased. But I thought that would be significantly different. I
Okay.
thought
So
we would drop total meat by quite a bit, and we haven't in the US.
can can I poke some holes in this? At least ask some questions.
Absolutely.
Are these numbers? Do they include the fact that how much has the population went up in the last 13 years of the country?
I didn't pull it, but I think it's linear. I think it stays on pretty much a pace. And so did meat consumption. It rose at a certain percentage year over year. So we did stop the rise and start to decline. But I honestly intuitively thought with the high prices, I really thought that people in the US would have shifted quicker. Just for a fun example, I do have some interesting numbers. The average American eats 173 pounds of meat per year.
Rookie numbers. Sorry.
A average African eats 21 pounds, and globally, which by the way includes the United States heavily weighing to one side, globally, the average is around 62 pounds. So other countries, other places all over the world, they average 62 pounds of meat per year. where in the
Uh-huh.
United States, we are over 100 pounds more per person.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask you a question. Is there a number for how much we eat a year versus them? In total, how many times a day we eat, how much more food we eat?
Well, I mean, we probably could pull that. I don't have that amount, but you also have the
I'm
United
just saying
States
that's scale
waste more too.
that number scales directly across. We eat so much more a year because we eat more a year. We buy more a year, we waste more a year. I'm not defending the way we are. We've done the shows about food waste. And
Hmm.
you and I both know what it feels like to buy stuff. Sometimes you buy stuff, you eat it just because you paid for it. Like
Oh,
there are lots of reasons why I am built the way I am. Okay, so let's like they say you're supposed to eat like two or three small maybe like three small meals and then like snacks in between. So you eat like six times a day. But what happens, Michael, when someone like me comes around where my small meal is 1,800 to 2,000 calories, and then in between those meals, I could eat three of those a day and knock down a snack of 800 or 900 calories and never feel full. Like there's a lot of fatties like me in this country. I'm a big dude. I'm not saying this is the way to live. Everything about the way I live is wrong, but I exist.
right. I understand. And
So
in the United
we
States, obesity is a problem, right? In general,
no,
I'm
obviously
obese.
I am morbidly obese, by the way. That's what I'm saying is that our way of life here is so much worse than what it needs to be. People in other countries are way healthier than we are. Like it's not even a question. Their
Well,
overall culture with food is better than ours.
the food is generally well, and I can only talk about like Italy, for example, or France, places I've been. The food is generally purchased locally, prepared for that day, and consumed that day. And in reasonable, and I'll be honest, the portions in Italy were still pretty significant, but it's a lot of vegetables. It's a significant amount of starches. It's a smaller amount of meat, but that's how the meals are structured. And people walk all over the place. When we went to tour in Italy, there's poles that come up in the center or on the outskirts of the city, and cars are not allowed in during business hours. So
Yeah, I love that idea.
people would park in outlots and ride their bike into the city. So a lot more physical exercise than what we do here in the United States. There isn't places, and especially the Midwest. So for those of you in LA or those of you in New York, it's very, very different in the Midwest. Even in our cities, it's not always easy to get from place to place. You almost
Oh, it's
exclusively need a vehicle.
it's terrible. It's our cities are. Don't get me started. Like it's even with a vehicle, it sucks. Like it's almost okay. Great example. My son attended a semester at Mott's culinary program. It's downtown Flint. Downtown Flint is not an enormous city. It's good size.
Mhm.
It's easily walkable for most of the things you need to do. But there are times where he'd have his class at one Mott campus, and then the culinary building is in the middle of downtown. Now you see the words Flint and Flint. You can't walk between them. You could,
Right.
I guess, but you need a car. If you have both classes in the same day, you really need transportation. I don't know if it'd be reasonable to use a bike. I've never been a cyclist, which probably wasn't a bad idea for me to start. Could be a new hobby in the future, but it seems like it would be too far.
Yeah, well, and depending on if they've got bike lanes, depending on if it's protected lanes, there's other aspects to it also that tells
Yeah, of
people
course.
if they should or shouldn't. But most places around the world encourage walking. We literally discourage it in this country. We spread things out so far. We create ideologies behind vehicles. We do all kinds of things that are not healthy for us. And it
Sure.
reflects like 173 pounds of beef when the average in the world is 62. That's excessive. Now, granted, I know we're going to waste 40% of it or close to 50% of it, which is not better.
Well,
But
but that number though still puts you at consuming double what the other countries do.
yeah, still,
I mean,
yeah.
if you take 160, 20-30% of that gone, take a quarter of that away, you're sitting at 120, and they're only eating 60. That's still way more than you need.
One of the things I liked about when we were in Hawaii, yeah, you still have to drive from spot to spot, but when you were wherever you were, you walked everywhere. You parked the vehicle, you left it, and you just explored and you were on your feet. When I got back from Hawaii, I felt lighter. I felt stronger. I was there for 9 or 10 days and I felt so much better. The meals are not meat centric. You had a lot of fruits, a lot of papaya. You have pineapple. You've got the Lolacoy stuff. There's just you're living a different life there than what I am here. When I'm here, unless I'm actively attempting to do things to feel better, I don't. I go from desk to desk to desk to car to desk,
Yeah.
and I want out of it. I'm working very, very hard right now. I want out of it.
Your job is a desk job. Like you work remotely most of your job, doing the engineering and everything else you have to do. You don't have a reason throughout the day to go for a walk downtown. You know what I mean? Like you don't. If you choose to, if you take a break and go down to stomping grounds and get other side of your block and get a cup of coffee or something, but like you don't have a reason. And Durand, as many efforts as you have made here to make this city walkable, it is walkable. It's just still not a whole lot of things to do unless you take someone with you, if that makes
Right.
sense. What you said about Hawaii, like that makes so much sense though. You park the car, you're walking everywhere throughout the day. Maybe you're walking 2, 3 miles a day. Your calves are getting stronger, your legs, your core, everything is strengthening just from general conditioning of your movement. When you get back, you're going to feel stronger because your body's been working way harder and in a positive way. I'm a little envious just hearing about it because how many times I park in a parking lot and the walk from the car to the door makes me miserable because I'm so out of shape it hurts.
Right. Well, and that's the yoga thing. I have to stretch. I have a lot of aches and pains as I get older. So a lot of the things that we're doing, matter of fact, for those listening, Jamie and I are looks like going to buy the world's cheapest destroyed home and try to restore it. So keep an eye on my Facebook because I'll live stream everything on there, take some videos, post it. We're gonna take you along with us as we go through and try to fix up, which is, I think, the worst piece of property we've ever bought. I got to get moving. I got to get exercise. I do not want to get to a point where all I did is sit and eat. And then when I finally can go just do some things I want to do, I physically can't. And that's where I'm at right now. So, anyways, back on our topics, I got to wrap us up here in a second. There is a small segment of people that do the things that you hate, and that is find substitutes for the meats. You have lentils for to put in your marinara sauce instead of hamburger.
Hold
Uh,
on, hold on, hold on. No, no, no. You don't get to
Chickpeas.
pigeonhole me. You don't get to pigeonhole me on this. What do you mean, things that I hate?
You hate it. When we talk about using vegetables as meats, you say it will never be that, just have the meat. But there are some
I
people that find joy in the mushrooms that are used to simulate a burger.
hold on, hold on. Let's give the devil his due and let's be fair to the fat boy. What I said was if you have to take your beautiful vegetables and put so many chemicals in them to change their consistency, their flavor, and their texture and make them just as bad for you than a burger, just eat the burger or don't eat that thing. That's what I said. I love lentils and I love garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call them. I like all the foods that everyone else likes. I just don't like making them. It's the same argument I have with turkey bacon or bacon. Just give me bacon. By the time you have to do everything to the bird to make it taste like bacon, it's no longer better than bacon.
Well, although there is a section where it is better. So let's say you do your black bean burger to replace your burger. You're
Which does
still
actually,
taking the beef away from the market kind of thing. You're not eating the beef. You don't get the embodied energy with it. Even if they made it just as bad for you as the burger, at least it's not beef itself.
I understand that. I'm talking about your physical health, Michael.
Yes.
If you're talking about, if you like, we have this conversation. I talk about vegans all the time. If you are vegan, great. If you want to be a vegan, I support you. That's wonderful. Do it for whatever reasons you want to. There's a lot of amazing ways to cook and eat raw, wonderful, clean food. Just do it like that, and don't try to eat the same stuff you always did before, just without the animal. I've done that in recipes. Big fan of that. Big fan. I love new things like that. I just don't like seeing people like switch to something to be healthy and it ends up being worse for them. It makes me sad.
Well, and I think at some point that, how we put calories on things so we can try to make better decisions doesn't always curb what I want, but it's designed to help us make better decisions.
Yeah, of
I
course.
really think embodied energy as a number should be on there too, so that we can make better decisions on the things that
Okay.
that we choose to eat, because meat has a very high embodied energy. And I think if they see that number compared to other things on a regular basis, or the apple from outside your country versus the apple from inside your country, you start seeing those comparisons, and you're going to start defaulting to the thing that was made, grown, or produced closest to you.
I have always been, and people don't understand this way of thinking, but it's better to get something once a year or twice a year that's absolutely phenomenal than to get mediocre stuff the whole year. Yeah, I know the convenience of having strawberries 12 months out of the year, that's great, but you can only really get great strawberries in the end of the spring, early summer. You know what I mean? Like they're
Mhm.
delicious. Tomatoes, tomatoes have a season. Everything has a season. So like just get it locally, learn to preserve it, make jams, make jellies. Like there's so many aspects of this where I kind of feel like to be better with the planet and ourselves, we need to go backwards in time before everything became so complicated.
How many times do I say sustainability is just acting like grandpa? It's
All the
just
time, and it's the
doing
truth.
we literally just have to go back to a way of life before the 80s. In the United States, it was the 80s. It was the greed is good. You step on everybody to make more money. Opened the market with China and flooded it with cheap stuff. It became he with the most toys when they die wins. All those things popped up in the 80s, and it changed American culture to consumption.
I actually still think it was before the 80s. I think the 80s seen the explosion of it, but I think the seeds of it came out of the 50s and 60s.
Um, there was some boom after World War II, but I think it became culturally acceptable to care more about consumption than people in the 80s.
Well, that's why I said the 50s or the 60s. The people that you talk about in the 80s were born then. They were raised in a generation they just weren't happy with, so they went after what they wanted. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, when you look back on your life, you realize you missed out on a lot of important stuff. Like I'm here to tell you, like as a person who overly complicates his own life, as I do all the time, some of the best things I've ever experienced were canning grape jelly with my mother. Like
Mhm.
it's so silly to look back at that, but it was amazing, and it's a life skill that I'll never ever forget. I may never can my own tomatoes because I hate the smell, but it's a life skill, and you get better food throughout the year.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's going to take a culture change when it comes to beef, when it comes to meat, when it comes to any of this stuff. And I think understanding the embodied energy of something helps. And I just feel like that's got to be one of those natural steps that we take. Anyways, I'm going to close this up. First of all, I appreciate you coming on. Are you still doing a bunch on your socials?
What do you mean doing a bunch on my socials?
You still doing your videos? I've been working far too often. So you still putting out
So
some content?
I do content. I did also just say do. You're welcome. I I don't do content nearly as much. I've been so busy with work and catering that I haven't been doing as much as I'd like to, but I do still have TikTok and I do still have Facebook. And you can nothing else. You can find all the links at nicknazarian.com. I'm everywhere. I'm currently running for Fave Chef. If anyone ever sees my profile, give me a vote. I appreciate your vote. Yeah, I don't. This part always makes me awkward, Michael. We should just record a segment for this, and you should plug it in because
No,
I'll never know
everything's got
what
to
to
be
say.
natural. You know how many times I screw up a close and we laugh and we have a good time.
I
It's
do,
all got to be
yes.
natural. This is what makes us so, everybody love us so much.
I don't think anyone loves us. At least they don't love me, but I appreciate it.
Obviously, we really appreciate everybody listening. Remember also, if you want to support your mental health, your mood, and realistic sustainability all at the same time, click the link in the description for Magic Mind. Use the coupon code sustainability for 20% off. Also, down in the description, all my socials are there. If you're interested in watching us take what I believe to be the world's worst duplex and tear it apart and redo it, follow my personal Facebook or on greeningyourlife.org. And remember, we're just trying to get a little bit better each day. Little bit, big bit. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Mike,
And I'm Nick.
and we'll talk to you soon.